Well, because I'm a partner with him. What got me really into it, well, aside from the fact that I work around alcohol all the time.
What's this?
It's a fist bump. Fist bump. Fist bump. Here we go. You know what? Just do it. Put it in there.
What's this?
Hey, guys.
Are you gonna punch?
With our powers combined. This is great.
That's the Captain Planet joke.
This guy's dying over here.
What's going on, Sarasota? My name is Brad Hannon.
Trey Martell.
Felipe Colon.
And we got my man from Misguided Spirits, Chris Hembrough. What's going on?
Hey, what's up? What's up? How you guys doing?
Thanks
good to see you, Felipe. Good to see you.
For those of you that don't know, our favorite guests, you would think maybe you're the ones that have the best conversation to offer, but we like the gifts, and Chris is killing it in the gift category. So
the liquor gods have arrived.
let's just jump right into it. What do we have on the table here? What is Misguided Spirits, and what makes it so different?
So, Misguided Spirits is, the way that I always frame it, is an employee operated and owned. It's an industry allied premium house or premium well spirits brand. We are like an elevated well. There's sometimes in the past there's been sort of a negative connotation put to the well because a lot of well liquor is cheap and
Gives you the hangovers.
It's not very good, right? It's you're not proud to pour it. So we started a company. Well, really, my buddy James, who I grew up with here in Sarasota, went to Sarasota High together.
That's dope.
Crazy James.
Crazy James. Shout out James Zinkin.
Did you guys know he was from? Did you guys know the owner of this was from Sarasota?
Yeah.
I didn't have a clue.
we all went to high school together.
Yeah, he jumped off of a 15-foot.
He almost died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he clipped the edge of the pool, right?
Well, actually, our friend Paul was the one that really almost died. James actually made it twice, I think. Paul almost lost his life, but he can run and use his legs now. This is clearly, we're talking like 20 years
20
ago.
years.
So clearly this guy's a risk taker. He takes a risk on starting Misguided Spirits, and boom, here we go.
As you know, Crazy James is what we called him back in the day. James Zinkin, though, but he's a wild character. And if you ever get to meet him, you'll find that out. But he's also like business-wise, like super strong-minded and just thoughtful and knows how to. He's got wild ideas, and this one. Really, he's done a lot of stuff, but this one really happened to come to fruition, and it's blowing up and
super cool.
Expanding all over the United States, and Florida's our newest market. And basically, since we're an industry allied brand, our big thing is because James has opened bars and restaurants, and he's been a bartender forever and a restaurant manager, bar manager. Same for me, right? For over a decade. So what he wanted to do was make sure that he partnered with his buddy Chad, who worked for Peroni and Blue Moon and did consulting for different liquor companies, beer companies. So he had the business mind, right? He knew how to do that. But what they decided to do together was create a brand that bars and restaurants, bartenders could be proud to pour. They could look down at the well. And it wasn't a negative connotation anymore.
Right.
It was, you can look at the well and you can go, hey, you know what? I can use the tequila to pour a tequila soda, but you know what? I can make you a badass margarita with it too.
Right.
You don't have to shy away from it. Instead of reaching for the more expensive brands, the celebrity brands that cost too much and not ripping on them, to each their own, but instead something that's sincere, genuine, honest, and for the right price point, you can actually make your bar more money too, because at the end of the day, it's a business, right?
Right.
So a big thing is like being able to make sure the bartender is proud to pour what they're pouring, because we got their back, because we're all industry people. Everybody in the company are industry people, all the partners, and then that lets the bartender know that the spirits that they're pouring, the people really give a shit about them, and they give a shit about the bar that they're at, and they want to make them money, make the restaurant money. And in turn, we do as well, but we do it with a lot of stories. All these have stories. These are all real people, misguided spirits of the past that represent the present. That's the whole thing. So we just kind of worked a whole angle where it became this continuity, cohesive story, not just something lifeless, something that really has life.
Before we get into kind of like the story of all the products, and that's great background on an interesting company.
Yeah.
Like, why would people want to watch this? Why would people in Sarasota particularly care about something like what you guys are doing? Mm-hmm. What you guys are doing sounds pretty revolutionary to me because, like you said, the well is usually forgotten.
Sure.
Who's getting excited about going out to have drinks with their friends and saying, I can't wait to have that well vodka.
They got $3 wells.
I can't wait to drink gut rot.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of those brands down there, frankly, they're afterthoughts. Like
They are.
How many times is
Skull.
What's that?
Skull vodka.
Skull vodka.
Pop-Off.
Skull Pop-Off.
Aristocrat.
Old Granddad. Like, are those wholesalers calling the bar saying like, "Hey, you guys excited to get the next shipment of
Well, what
vodka?"
they do is, and again, I don't want to make this a shit talk fest on those companies, but they're because of the way it's distilled, it's just not good, and so they can sell it for really cheap. So high volume bars and stuff, I get it. They have that overhead, they have that those margins and what they want to make money, and I get that. So 9 times out of 10, if it's a bar that the guests, the patrons, whatever, aren't asking those questions, they're gonna buy the cheapest thing because then they can make the most money.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other places.
And they can sell it for cheap, and people love cheap drinks.
And they'll order twice as many.
Yeah, you sell more, right?
Yeah,
That's the way you
sure.
make money. You either sell a big margin or you sell more of a smaller margin.
Yep.
Same difference.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we kind of the cool thing that we did is because we may be a couple dollars more than those like really terrible brands. We not only is it distilled in a top tier fashion and sourced in a top tier fashion, but we've done this cool thing because we're industry people and we understand it, that you can actually increase your revenue because you can look at the well and you can pour your well drink or your house drink. But if a restaurant or a bar has a craft cocktail list, a classic cocktail list, which we're on a lot. We do a lot of like industry hour, like we do that with Food and Beer. Shout out Mike, shout out Casey.
Always.
They've been huge supporters of us. They have an industry cocktail list sponsored by Misguided. So you can actually use us for the well, but you can make your restaurant or bar can make more
Premium
money
drinks with
because
it,
you can
too.
make premium drinks with
Right.
it. So you add those extra ingredients to it, you can upcharge, and they're getting a high quality drink, but you're pouring it out of the well. There's no other company that does that.
I gotta say, I didn't know the premium well thing, right? I just knew you and Misguided Spirits and knew
Right.
we were gonna have you on the podcast. So I was over at Food and Beer probably 2 weeks ago. It might have been a week ago. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys are doing the podcast party.
Right. But
Yep.
after that, right, and we said, hey, let's get you on the podcast. Mainly, I mean, for no other reason than what, as Felipe would like to say it, the aesthetics of Misguided Spirits. The kids these days say the vibe, right? The vibe of Misguided Spirits is
It's a vibe.
really cool.
Yeah.
But we don't want to marginalize Felipe or anything. So the Misguided
Felipe
Spirits
marginalize
vibe is
himself?
pretty
I don't
cool.
know.
So I'm sitting there.
Marginalized. That's a big word for Brad today.
Brad's got a big brain on him.
The source.
Yeah,
on this
well,
one, right?
I drank some Misguided Spirits. So.
Yeah, now you're feeling good.
I'm sitting there at the bar, and Misguided Spirits is not like when you. It's funny, even when you say well, you're pointing down because it's normally hidden, right?
Yeah.
The well is normally
it's in front of you.
don't
It's
see
where
it.
like your speed rail is. Your
But they
speed rack
have
or whatever.
they have the tequila on the
the back bar. Yeah.
whatever you call it. Okay,
Yeah.
so I see it, and I'm like, you know what? Let me have one of those. Just give me a tequila, reposado, blanca, whatever it was, on the rocks,
Right.
and a lemon, but on the side, and took a few sips of it. I'm like, this is good. I drank the whole glass. I didn't know I was drinking a well liquor,
Sure.
right? Like it wasn't like I was drinking a cheap tequila. So this is the first I'm learning that it's a premium well.
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't have told me, I would have thought that it was
Right.
a premium spirit.
Well, and the thing is too, you got to remind yourself. There's a lot of places, especially now. We've got quite a bit of accounts throughout Florida, especially Sarasota, Bradenton, Venice. And a lot of places they're going to keep that cheaper well, and that's all right. That's not my job to tell them what to do. But what we end up being a lot of times is back bar.
Right.
So we go on the first or second tier in the back bar, and they use us for their premium cocktails. And hey, look, visibility, no matter what, is great. Would they, in all honesty, make more money if they put us in the well and we're just using us for that and their cocktails? Hell yeah. And
Yeah.
all of the, our biggest market being, New York, Milwaukee, Chicago, all of the bars up there have told us that when they clear their well and they put Misguided in and they put us on the cocktail list, they're making money hand over fist.
Why is that though? Just the
Because we're versatile. You can use it for the cheap drinks
Right.
and the expensive drinks. You don't have to reach for a $40 bottle of Casamigos. You can use us instead.
But the people that are ordering the drinks are more apt to order it because it's a decent looking product, or is it like
well, they're learning about it.
Right.
So up in New York, it's been around for 6 years. So you go to a lot of bars in like Brooklyn, Williamsburg, et cetera, everywhere. You go when people ask for Misguided. Now down here, that's a big part of my job, is because not only am I passionate about it, I'm a partner with the company, is to get us on that level where people are asking about it, get us on to where it's a call, where it's like, yeah, Tito's and soda. It's like, it should be a Misguided crooked and soda.
I think in Tito's is probably the best example because when you think of the early days of Tito's, I was at an event up at the Hard Rock like a week or two ago for Uncle Nearest.
Sure.
And I met the CEO of Uncle Nearest and the head distiller. and she told this story. She said Tito Beverage, and that's his last name, Beverage, used to physically
Wait,
go.
what?
Tito's last name is Beverage.
No shit.
Right?
Wow.
He personally, the reason he's so successful,
blown.
he owns the whole company.
Right.
He never sold a single share. He went around personally to all these bars
Yeah.
in Austin,
Yep.
getting kicked out, trying to sell
Yeah.
his Tito's.
Yep.
Eventually, after 20, 30 years, it hit.
Yeah.
And now we order a Tito's and soda. But before,
Right.
that was like a nothing brand.
Right.
Yeah,
know?
it's crazy to think, and it's a very much like a grassroots movement, and it's what we do, like through our distributor Winebow, sometimes they can get me meetings with people, and I can sit down with the owner of a restaurant or a bar or whatever, but a lot of the time, man, it's hitting the pavement.
Grassroots,
I get out there and I go into places. That's how I've gotten probably 90% of the restaurants and bars that we started working with in the past 6 months since we expanded into Florida, is literally going in, showing them the display, giving them like just a 30. I hate to ambush people. I've
Right.
been a restaurant manager.
You didn't walk in with
dealing
a
with rep-
padfolio and
I keep it very
Right.
brief, and I leave them my card, and I say, look, we're an industry allied brand. I think we, will be a great asset to your bar or restaurant, and I just want to come in here and see if we'd like to set up a meeting to do a tasting. And that's how it all starts. And then you wait to hear back, and then maybe a week or two down the road, you go and have a tasting and a meeting, and 9 times out of 10 it lands. They're like, this is awesome.
But also from the grassroots perspective, and I'm glad you touched on that because that's what's the vibe of this brand, right? Being kind of cool, and I mean you've got where's the bag? Do you hide the bag already?
Oh yeah,
Show
yeah.
the bag real quick.
got-
So you
well,
got
we
like the
some goodies,
artwork.
too. So we got we do a lot of.
So hold that up for the
Oh, yeah,
camera.
yeah. So this is OBS, Old Bone Society, makes clothing, tattoos, and all that stuff up in Brooklyn. And we collab with them for some of our merchandise. We also just collab with Hypnotic's back.
There you go.
All right?
Yeah. It's on the rise.
I was telling you guys before the show started, we just sponsored a private show at like a retired cathedral in Brooklyn for the Wu-Tang
And you said
Clan.
Coachella too, right?
We were the official after bar for Coachella. It was a
Dope.
Misguided Bar. We built a bar for the after party for 2 days.
So from the grassroots perspective, sorry to cut you off there, but
No, you're good, man.
staying on the
I'm gonna pour us a
grassroots.
little. I made us some batch margaritas, so I'm gonna pour us.
Let's do it. We got the ice yet? Whatever. We can
worry.
taste it for
It's
now.
cold.
We got ice coming
It's
too.
still cold. All right.
There we go. So
But go ahead, I'm
from
listening.
from that grassroots perspective, let's say you're the after bar at Coachella, right? Few
Gotcha.
thousand people at least, right? Couple 100,000, 10,000 people, whatever it might be, drink Misguided Spirits. Now they go into a bar and they say, hey, do you guys have Misguided Spirits, right? They like it. They vibe with the brand. They see
Right.
the art. So I think you have a movement going just from people that love the brand,
Yeah.
love the fact that it's industry, ask for it. And you follow that person into the bar. The next time you say, hey, I'm from Misguided Spirits, here's my card, whatever. They're like, you know what? I've been asked about that a couple
Yeah.
times, and I'm sure it's happened.
Well, yeah, definitely. And the thing is, yes, absolutely. And cheers, guys. By the way,
Salute.
cheers. Hey, cheers to
Cheers.
4th of July week. 4th of July
July.
weekend. All right. Made some margaritas for everybody.
How was it, Trey?
Delicious. This is
so
the best
good.
margarita I've ever had.
This guy. You know what? You're hired.
It's never even close.
I'm gonna get you a jumpsuit. Well, and speaking of the jumpsuits, like that's a big part of it too. Like
It is cold though. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I batched this morning. I kept it in the fridge all day, and then there's a little bit of ice in the bottom.
Perfect.
So I anticipated maybe there wouldn't be ice, so wanted to,
Yeah. Well,
didn't want to make
we're
it stuff into a warm margarita.
We're still working on upgrading to a fridge with an ice maker.
Hey.
But,
Yeah.
we'll get there one
Hey,
day.
we'll get there, man. Baby steps.
It broke.
Yeah.
All right, screw Brad's question.
Okay.
Let's get into
It wasn't a question anyway.
or
It's more of a
statement or
statement.
whatever that was. Let's get
Trey
into the
wants to talk
backstories.
about a completely different
Specifically,
topic.
the vodka. Can you give me the backstory? You said they're all tied to a story, right?
Yeah, they're all tied to a story, and as you can tell, like all of the brands. So if you flip these bottles around, it tells the story on the back. So
Okay, go.
that's a great talking point for bartenders.
Yeah.
They've all got really interesting stories. These are, as we refer to them, the rogues and misguided spirits of the past. They're all real people.
So,
So,
the
like-
bartenders always have something to talk about other than
Always.
this
And
is
they're
our new
cool-
well.
So they're cool stories. So like the vodka one is one of my favorites, right?
It's got a cool
Let's hear the
logo.
story. Let's hear the story.
So it's Howe and Hummel's Crooked Vodka. So up in New York, and shit, probably like the 19.
Wait, I got another question. Different question.
All right, one question. All right, I'll answer both
Go
at the
ahead.
same time.
No, go ahead.
I think 1930s, somewhere around there, after Prohibition-ish. They were lawyers. They were kind of unethical lawyers in New York, Howe and Hummel. And so they set up a law firm, and it was down the road from a lot of the dive bars where a lot of the shitheads hung out, a lot of the lowlights, prostitutes, things like that. And what would happen is a lot of, as we know, lobbyists, men and politicians, they would go hang out there, right? And then when these prostitutes and these robbers, these bad
Didn't they
dudes,
call them
whatever-
flappers back then or something?
I think that was the 40s.
No, that was the 20s.
That was the 20s. That was before Prohibition.
The Roaring
right?
20s.
But yeah, the Roaring 20s.
So you're saying that the politicians hung out with all the lowlifes and
Well,
criminals?
yeah, I mean,
Felipe doesn't love this story.
Allegedly. So there was some.
Allegedly.
So their law firm was, down the road from a lot of these bars where it was known that these people would hang out. But what they knew, if they got in trouble, they could go to Howe and Hummel.
There you go.
And Howe and Hummel would take on your case pro bono, but they would blackmail you and extract information. So they could swing votes, they could get things pushed through legislation
For politicians,
that were their friends, and they would get money in return. So they would kind of take care of the lower echelon of people. And so at those bars down the street from their law firm, knowing that whenever they got in trouble, they go to Howe and Hummel and they're going to help you out, but you're going to have to give them some info. So the cheers at these bars was to Howe, to Hummel, and they would cheers each other at night because they knew they could fuck off and get away with whatever they wanted. So that's why it's Howe and Hummel's Crooked
Man,
Vodka.
we've come a long way from that. Thank goodness.
Kind of. You never know.
What's his name? The Fixer? I'm not even going to.
We're not getting into politics. We talk politics enough, right? We're talking booze. What's your favorite one of the stories?
My favorite one is Howe and Hummel is definitely up there. I really like the Caribbean Queen's Red Sky rum. First of all, this is the best aged rum I've ever had. I'm excited for you guys to try it. It's my favorite. I'm not a huge rum guy, actually.
Me neither.
I'm a tequila guy. But when I tried this for the first time, and every time I try with somebody, they're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But it's because of the way that we make it. But we'll get to that. The story is really cool. Gertrude Lithgow is her name. And during Prohibition, she lived in New York, I believe, and she liked rum. And they said, no more rum for anybody, no more booze for anybody. So she said, fuck you guys. And she went down to the Bahamas, and she started illegally smuggling rum in and out. And she was a real wild card. She probably drank a lot, and she carried a switchblade and a pistol, and she threatened people a lot. And then she broke some, cowboy pirate, something McCoy. And then she, left on a boat.
What is his name?
What's his name?
Hatfield.
Right here.
That was different.
She left her one true love, the real Bill
Gotta be.
McCoy, by
Bill
sailing
McCoy.
off into the sunset to
Probably same
live
one.
life on her own terms.
There was a lot of McCoys.
Yeah, but she was just a wild ass, man. And so she had this.
Trey's got the giggles today. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on with this guy.
just a little bit more of that margarita.
Yeah,
baby.
one
You'll be
sip
all
of the
right.
margarita, he's
You'll
got
be all
the
right.
giggles over here.
So
Here, Morgan.
there you go. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I wasn't
deserve
gonna let
it.
it.
You
I
deserve
wasn't.
it. You
I
earned
wasn't
that.
gonna let it go to waste. Don't worry.
So that's one of my favorite stories. She's a misguided spirit of the past that represents. That's why it's the Caribbean Queen's Red Sky rum. You have the ship kind of sailing off into the distance. She just disappeared one day. She probably killed people. Who knows? But she was crazy, and they
sure
told her
she did.
when they said, "Hey, you can't sell or drink booze up in New York." She was like, "Well, I'm going to the Bahamas and I'm getting a boat. Fuck you
And I'll
guys.
smuggle it in."
Check this out." Yeah. So
As
she's
so
like,
many did.
It's a fun. It's just they're fun stories, and it's cool stuff for not only the bottles are interesting, but it's cool talking points for bartenders and stuff. If guests are like, "What's that bottle?" Blah blah blah. They can tell the story to them.
Right.
It's a conversation. You can look
Yeah.
these people
No.
up.
Absolutely.
It's cool.
I'm curious. You said Florida is a new market for you.
Yeah.
But James is from Sarasota.
Correct.
Tell us why he neglected Florida for so long.
He's busy, man. So he moved. He moved
Did
around
he
a
live
lot.
up there to begin?
So he after high school he traveled all around. He bicycled across the United States. He lived out in California. He was on Big Brother. He was a reality TV show. So you remember that? He was on Big Brother. He had his 15 minutes of fame. He was one of the people's favorite characters on that show. He was on a season of Big Brother. Then he wound up in New York. I mean, he's just been all over the place. And so when this started up 6 years ago, again, grassroots movement, they started in their neighborhood. They started in Brooklyn. And same way that, we're down in downtown Sarasota right now. I live down the street, right?
Right.
Most of the accounts that we've started up here and restaurants and bars
Start
we work with,
downtown,
a lot of them are downtown. I mean, I have some Bradenton, some
Lakewood
Orlando,
Ranch.
some Lakewood Ranch. Yeah, but I mean, really, if you look at it on a map, it's really clustered downtown and then a little bit up south and north, but it's concentrated in my neighborhood. And one, it's
Right.
easy for me to access, but two, I know everybody and I can go in and they're like, what is this? And I'm like, okay, let me tell you about it. So the same thing when they started it up there, it was starting in Brooklyn, right, and Williamsburg, and doing New York, but then since it's distilled a lot of it in Milwaukee and bottled up there, Milwaukee became a big market, you know, and then it kind of branched out. Well, I mean, they're up there, Florida's all the way down here, so it took a little while to get down here, but when they did,
but he has contacts like you here.
Well, that's
to get it out.
That's the crazy thing.
You know,
but he's got to get it here first.
I didn't go a little farther than that. I mean, a lot of things that start in places like Brooklyn. You know, it's such a unique culture.
Oh, lovely.
That they're just.
Yeah, well,
you know, they sometimes they never make it out of New York, but then if they do, it makes sense to start in smaller markets.
It's kind of stamped with like the cool Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But then, you know, starting Florida, we don't realize this, but Florida is one of the top 3 liquor markets in the United States.
Oh yeah,
I mean, this is a huge.
We
market.
love to drink down here.
Can top
this
off.
is what.
Oh, I'd love to. All right.
So if you've got a small brand, I mean, why would you start with like the largest market?
Sure.
You know, where you've got the most competition to deal with. You're going to start in places where you can make it that.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. And
well, is there probably a lot of like restrictions moving liquor from state to state to state?
Yeah, you got to get licensed and all that. Well, and that was a big part. When James and I started talking on the phone regularly, and he was like, "Hey, we're going to be moving into expanding into Florida, and I'm still bartending full time and running bars and whatever." And he was like, would you kind of want to partner with us for Florida? It would be a great place to start. But a big part of that was, we had to get licensing down here for the SKUs, for the, for the late, everything. It's like, it's a whole process. Yeah. But then once we were ready to launch, it was January of this year. I think they launched in Miami, which I wasn't there for. But then we did our own launch party at Rose and Ivy in Sarasota, which... and shout out real quick to Nick Perdue over at Rose and Ivy. He runs that place, and he
didn't jump on it that time though.
He was a huge help in getting us off the ground, and so were Mike and Casey at Food and Beer.
Yeah,
they were our 2 biggest champions and still are, and really saw the vision that we had. And when I came to them and was like, not only are you guys friends, are we friends, and I didn't want them to do it because we were buddies, but because they believed in it. Yeah, right? James and Chad came down here, the founders, and we had meetings with them. And I'll even say it, like Mike's a good friend of mine, but he was like, he's a businessman at the end of the day. He's like, is this going to make me money? Is this blah, blah, blah? And we sat down and talked about it a couple times, and he was like, he put it in all 6 locations, going on 7 locations of Food and Beer. Nick over at Rose and Ivy, as he rebranded that restaurant, he was like, I'll take it all. I mean, they really believed in us. And it takes people like that, and it's not just good friends. It's people that see a young, fresh vision. We're not archaic. We're not dinosaurs. This is the future of bars and restaurants, not only making more money, but making sure bartenders are super proud to do their job, because they should be. And you can look at the well, you can make a cocktail with it. There's nobody else doing that. And we get to wear cool jumpsuits.
Yeah, there you go.
That's,
I do love that.
There's icing on the cake.
I feel like that was half the reason you signed up for the job. You're like, I can wear this is my uniform. I'm in.
That's pretty cool.
I can get this cool flat bill. All right.
It's hot as shit during the summertime, but you know what? I rock it. I rock it pretty much every day. It's a conversation piece too. People are always like, "What is that?" Blah blah blah.
Yeah. It's a cool logo.
I've gotten meetings with people just because the fucking jumpsuit.
I bet.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh shit, I actually own a bar. Do you want to do like a taste?" I'm like, "Hell yeah."
Felipe, you're pretty good at playing devil's advocate.
I will rep strong roofing. All right.
Let me have
Felipe, you're pretty good at playing devil's advocate. Do you want to play devil's advocate, or do you want to let me? And I think you know where I'm going with this.
I'm not sure I do. So you start off, and I'll hop in and help you out.
So I mean, we've been we've been talking about all the good stuff, all the positives, and truthfully, it all sounds good, right? Like, hey, you're going to make more money with this product.
Sure.
Okay. But how does it stack up you don't have to like give prices or too much information or whatever, but like, how does it genuinely stack? Like if I'm a bar owner, which I am, I own several, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't.
I was about to be like,
why
are we not, where are your bars at? Why aren't we being bored at them?
Owning a bar and making monthly payments to one are 2 different things, right?
I own shares in bars.
Okay.
But,
let me know what those are and set me up some meetings.
But
let's get Misguided in there.
Let's just say I'm a bar owner and you're pitching this product. I'm like, well, the main thing is like, okay, it's going to be my well liquor. How does the price stack up next to what the well liquors are? I haven't worked in the bar industry for 10 years. I don't know what the well liquors are.
price point between Skull and Tito's.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, where does it stack up against the field?
Well, okay, so it's a good question, and the honest answer is that it all depends on the bar. So, for example, okay, I went in, Origin Pizza, right? We all love Origin Pizza.
Of course, yeah.
Great, local pizzeria. They've got their 4th location coming up. They took us on, right? We're being poured at one of them. The other 2 are getting set up with their accounts, etc. For Origin, what they use for their well currently, like Tito's, etc., Old Forester, blah, 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 we are saving them money in their well. So they're going to use it's
just the raw product is
well, and they're using us for cocktails as well, especially the one at Palmer Ranch currently pouring. But so for them, they looked at the whole ethos of the brand. They did a tasting, and
it fits so well with Origin too. Like.
Yeah, it just made sense. They're like, we'll put you in the well, we'll put you in the cocktail list, whatever, right? But there's a lot of other bars that, and that's why I'm always honest with people. I'm like, look, I know we label ourselves as a premium well or a premium house, but if you're serving Aristocrat or Skull or whatever, like, I'm not going to be able to beat you on that.
Right.
But you can still save yourself some money by putting us on the back bar and using us on your cocktail list, and we'll sponsor your cocktail list. And also, because we're an industry brand, we make sure we support our accounts. I bring, like, we do these cool, like, tarot cards.
I wanted to talk about those for sure.
So,
let me see those.
So, yeah, we do a bunch of different ones, and they're kind of like made up people, but they're kind of based on it. Like, that guy is actually a real dude up in New York.
So like you get your drink,
like strong.
You get your
there you
drink.
go. That's yours.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's the same word actually.
And then it's got a classic cocktail in the back, right? So
Strength like strong.
Me
drink is strong.
Lord Jesus.
Me roof strong.
The hermit decisions.
We build strong roof.
Hell yeah.
I like it.
For those feeling courageous, determined, and brave. But
Right.
like, this is the talking piece, you know.
Yeah,
like,
well, it's just another tool for visibility. I just got a couple new accounts yesterday, and I went and
Trey's out. He's leaving.
I dropped these off, and then if it's a place that likes neon signs and stuff like Walt's Fish Market, Philippi Creek Oyster Bar, I'll drop them off. We have like these really cool old school looking like Piggly Wiggly throwback neons, but he's got 3 eyes. He's all tripped out. I bring stuff to the accounts, and then I'll do promos. Like I did a promo tasting at Food and Beer Office Bar this past weekend. So we make sure that we're not granted the juice is good, the stories are cool, but like I'll bring you shit too. Like
Right.
I'm gonna show up, and I'm able to do that because I live in the neighborhood, which is great.
Right.
A little tougher once it's further out, but either way, I can still have stuff shipped to accounts.
You can still travel and fly
absolutely
and drive.
And that's a huge part of it. We show up, we'll throw a party at your place, and we'll collab with you. So so we do stuff like that, and it just further is a representation of it's we're walking the walk and we're talking the talk.
I love it.
We show up and we really help.
Hey, we're having a blast getting to know Misguided Spirits and Chris Hembrough. If you want to get to know him a little bit more, stay tuned for rapid fire questions fueled by Food and Beer.
Hey, my name is Chris Hembrough. I'm a partner with Misguided Spirits, and this is Rapid Fire.
10 random questions, 10 specific answers, nothing off limit. This is Rapid Fire, fueled by Food and Beer. You can only choose one, ice cream or cake.
Oh, ice cream all day.
Coffee, tea, bourbon, what's your favorite?
Coffee, baby.
I would like to drink a cup of coffee.
What's your favorite place to visit?
The beach. I like the beach. Does it have to be a state?
Yeah, it's a party on the beach. Little bit salty, little bit sweet.
Yeah, the beach. That's it.
Whether it's Creed or Debbie Gibson, what's your favorite karaoke song?
With the arms wide open.
We're the arms wide open.
Do you remember what you ate for breakfast?
Yes. A leftover quesadilla that I put in the air fryer.
If you could live the life of anyone for a week, who would it be?
Tom Cruise.
You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips.
What's the one thing that absolutely belongs on every hamburger?
Cheese.
What's your Mount Rushmore of musicians? You get 4.
Tom Petty. Robert Plant. Brian Johnson. Let's go Robert Smith.
Who's your favorite Seinfeld character?
Costanza.
Every decision I've ever made in my entire life
has been wrong.
Oh no! I take that back. No, it's Jerry. Come on, Kramer. Yes, of course. Yes, Costanza's a close second. It's Kramer.
Giddy up.
Siesta Key Village or St. Armand Circle?
Siesta Key Village all day.
Party on, dudes!
So let's play a little more devil's advocate.
Okay.
I knew you would love to do that.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah, let's do it.
Food and beer.
I'm ready to advocate for.
No, I mean, so much of the liquor business, let's be real, is not about how good the product is. It's about the marketing, and oftentimes that involves making people think something is more premium than it is.
Sure.
And almost like fashion. I mean, why do people buy Louis Vuitton handbags? They're not better than anybody's handbag, right?
Exactly.
Same
I don't
thing.
know.
I mean, the booze business
Do
is
you
an
have a
extreme
Louis Vuitton
example.
handbag?
I
think
certainly do not.
They're pretty freaking good.
I'm just kidding.
Felipe buys his women course.
This episode is sponsored
What'd you say?
This episode is sponsored by
Michael
Louis
Kors.
Vuitton handbags.
Oh man, don't get me started.
Okay, all right.
Anyways,
You get what I'm saying.
I do.
It's
You know,
marketing.
it's a marketing focused industry.
Well, what if I told you this? There's a way to do both. You can make the marketing cool. You can make the branding, the cohesiveness, the look, the feel cool. But you also can distill it and it not be shit. It can also taste good. Why not do it all?
And you can make money. So if that's the case,
And you
then
can make money.
Why don't these folks, other brands, do that?
Because they're not industry people. They don't
Okay.
get it. And they're a lot of times they're just business minded people, which is great, and their businesses are successful. A lot of times it's fucking George Clooney from Casamigos. There's celebrities that are like, I'm making tequila. It's like you make movies.
Kevin
and then
Hart,
they just
The Rock,
right,
everybody.
and they just hire people to make this stuff, right? But they slap their name on it. And it goes viral, and that's great. And some of those products aren't bad. You know, The Rock has his own tequila. It's okay. But it's the answer is it's just because they're people that aren't really in the biz, and we are people that have been serving drinks, opening bars, managing bars, restaurants for a very long time.
Let's
So-
talk about that distilling process real quick, though.
Okay.
Like, what makes it? Because, like, for instance, Tito's gluten free, right? Whatever, or whatever it is. I think it's gluten free.
Yeah,
what
when,
makes it
when,
like a little
well,
bit
I mean,
better
when
or
Tito
whatever.
started, people didn't know what gluten was,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
You know,
Right.
But that
They
was part of
slapped-
what helped.
they
But so,
slapped
like,
that on there.
Like,
Yeah.
genuinely
Helped out.
speaking, when Tito's was on the rise, like
That was part of
I
it.
would
Yeah.
I would drink Tito's, and I'd be like, I drink Tito's because I feel great the next day. You know, like I never have a problem.
Or is it a placebo effect?
Maybe it's a placebo effect.
Placebo
I don't
is
know.
very powerful.
They put it on the label, and you go, I must feel good.
Well,
I don't know. I mean,
I drink
I-
tequila and I feel good too, but that's
Everyone
just 'cause
feels good
it's
when
just
they drink tequila.
But let's like what makes it different? What makes it better? What makes it quality?
Well,
and
it-
not pop-off.
Oh God. Well, because the way Pop-Off is distilled is terrible. They don't really clean the ethanol. It's just they just kind of serve you just
Ethanol.
gasoline. We make sure we scrub ours clean with carbon
Yeah.
filters and soft water, and we distill it 6 times, etc. But the answer is it's all individual because even though it's all bottled up in Milwaukee at our distillery, they're all made in different places. You know, the tequila, the Reposado, and the Blanco are 100% blue agave from Jalisco, Mexico.
Right.
The Red Sky rum is like this is aged for 4 years, and it's from 3 different regions of Venezuela. The Working Man's Whiskey is a high rye from Indiana, blended with a straight bourbon from Tennessee and Kentucky, aged in charred oak barrels. This Red Sky rum that's aged for 4 years is aged in fresh white oak barrels. So the answer is all of them have individual personalities,
Right.
which is exciting, right? So they're not. That people are like, so you just guys like make this yourself? Like there's one distillery
In the basement?
No, we have to.
grandma's
we
basement.
we have patented recipes, and they go to distilleries, and they're made in a certain fashion, and then they are aged up in Milwaukee at our distillery, and then they're bottled there and shipped out. But they all have, just like the people on here have different stories, these misguided spirits of the past, the flavor profile, the taste, the way they're distilled and sourced, they all have different stories too. So everything is catered to. Everything has a personality. So that's the difference between us and say Pop-Off or those cheaper brands, is that we put the care into making sure that the way that it's distilled is the way it should be, really.
I would just say the only way we truly know is if we drink enough to potentially have a hangover.
I love it.
We'll find out tomorrow.
What's your liquor of choice?
Tequila.
Tequila.
It was vodka forever. Now
You want to do a little reposado?
Sure.
Okay, let's do some reposado.
Felipe, what's your tequila
I want to try
choice?
that rum first, though. for sure.
You wanna
My
do rum?
tequila
Definitely
choice?
wanna
Or,
try
Oh, excuse me.
Because
You're
I'm
like
not
a
a rum
puss.
guy.
I like rye whiskey mostly.
Okay.
Oof.
Well, you're
Well,
gonna.
you want to see an
tequila's
allergic
great too.
reaction out of me? Give me a bunch of rye whiskey. I'll
well,
turn
let's
everywhere.
we'll do
Redder.
Blotchy red. Blotchy red.
I was going to let Trey say that instead of me saying it. I didn't want it to come off the wrong way.
Trey, are you
make
are
a
you
color
bowing out of
joke
this?
at me?
That's okay.
No, not at all.
Okay,
But I
that's
mean,
all right.
no, listen.
No pressure. You don't want to pressure anybody to drink.
To be fair, Trey has a very important meeting coming up, so
Okay.
he's staying sober. But
Okay.
wait till you see him tomorrow.
Well, currently we're
maybe
we're
not
going to have a
tomorrow,
very
but
important meeting right
Saturday.
now.
We're going to celebrate America,
Wait,
right?
we're going to celebrate America by drinking a Venezuelan rum.
Hey, only in America.
Nothing says freedom.
But it is bottled in America. Which is
There you
great.
go.
It's pretty cool.
So the Red Sky rum is definitely the spirit I'm the most proud of. It is so it's aged for 4 years in retired Elijah Craig charred oak barrels and fresh white oak barrels. It's brought to proof with Caribbean soft water and it's finished with Caribbean sea salt. So this beautiful caramel color that it has, that's because it sits in those barrels for 4 years, right? So you're gonna get that molasses, you're gonna get caramel. It's like it's an adult sweet treat. It's like
And
a
it's
butter,
aged in a whiskey barrel.
It is, and fresh white oak barrels, and so they're it's like a butter pecan pancake. You can make a crazy good tiki drink, like a Mai Tai, a Jungle Bird, whatever, with this. But you can also
Spoken like a true bartender.
yes, sir. And you can also drink it on the rocks, or you can sip it neat. So it's the one I'm the most proud of, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. We'll do a little
check
sip
it out.
here and there, and
You
you're
know
gonna
you
want to
want
get the nose on this bad boy. Because it is, it's before you even
Big
taste
nose
it,
guy.
It's
love that.
delish.
At least get a smell. Yep.
So you say that there's a
got
little
that-
little molasses, little caramel, little salt. It's like a pancake, man.
I'm gonna spit it back, just like his wine, right?
Oh no! You gotta treat it. There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
Felipe's partying tonight, baby.
Ooh,
Trey,
how
don't-
about that
don't start with
aftertaste? Did you just shoot it?
I kind of did too.
Kind of wanted to get the mouthfeel.
Yeah, you did.
Both of them just did a shot. Okay, fine.
There he goes. Now we're doing it. So yeah, that is that's an aged rum. That again, you can sip it neat. You can sip it
Morgan, are you pissed?
on the rocks. Did you want
You
some?
want some?
Yeah. But
I'm going to need some editing input on this one.
but the cool thing is too, these all highlight the flavor profile of cocktails. So you add you mix this into a classic tiki drink with a little bit of our triple sec.
Hey, let's try the triple sec.
Trey wants to try the triple sec.
My companions.
Well, I mean, you don't really drink.
You
triple
don't
sec.
really drink triple sec, but I will tell you, you drink this triple sec.
Oh, okay. Look at that.
Because it's made from Valencia orange peels, right? So
People ask why we started a podcast. Here you go. Bring all your liquor.
oh yeah, anytime you guys. You said, invite
Give
me
it to
back.
Felipe's nose.
So this is great. So now when you use our Misguided Blanco, our tequila, and you use the triple
Yeah,
sec,
just take a very small sip of that because that's.
No, I think I'm good.
don't mind if I do. So it's used Valencia orange peels is what we use.
Yeah, you can taste the orange. I can taste the orange.
So and there's a little tart cherry in there too. So we don't use your classic citrus or any of your chemicals that make it like super overtly sweet. Your
Yeah, I
cheaper
noticed-
triple secs will punish a cocktail.
Oh, I see.
I noticed. I
it's
mean, I
very
guess.
mild.
I guess.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, I see.
liquor companies aren't required to put ingredients on there. So like
you're right.
that's where I was looking earlier at the ingredients and stuff because and here's why like I love a good and that's why this product is cool because what is it Barhana, right?
Barhana.
Do they serve it?
We have had meetings. And,
But they should.
you know what? They will.
They should, and here's why. But like seriously, the first bar that comes to mind with this is that place because of the education that their
Yeah.
bartenders give you. Like I sat there and learned so much about tequila in the 20, 30 minutes I
yeah.
was there. I wasn't there for a long time. I got to get back to work.
Yep.
But in the 20 or 30 minutes that I was there and 3 drinks that I had, just learned so much about tequila. Like stuff that I
They're
never
real-
wanted to know, but
Yeah.
I'm glad I do now.
I
And I'm
love,
like,
I love bars like that. You know why? Because then I feel like the $15 drink I paid for, I actually got
15.
You
That's
got a little. Well, yeah, you got a
I got
little
something.
That's,
Yeah.
you're
You
ordering the
got a little
well at
lesson out of
Barhana
it,
if you're
too.
paying
Oh, really?
$15. It's
Yeah.
like $27 a drink there.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of those. So a lot of those guys that work there, Guy and Cocktail Daddy, Dylan, shout out. I worked with them up at the rooftop at Artivation Hotel, and they are bartenders. Those guys are the real.
My mom works at
deal.
the downstairs bar now.
Okay.
I go in there.
The
and
gallery.
I bug the crap out of her.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Maybe after this, we'll
Shout
go
out
bother your
Mama
mom at
Dukes.
the gallery bar.
In that vein, though, we've been talking a lot about
Yeah,
the
my
brand.
mother.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk a little bit more about your personal story. And your
It's
personal
not like a
connection to what
bar.
you're
It's not
doing.
like a crazy
Okay.
wild bar.
Yeah, I
Oh, you
mean,
think? I mean, I think that'd be interesting.
I'm
Bar
fine
and
with that.
restaurant.
Yeah, ask away. I mean, my personal story as far as
Well, obviously, you said you've been bartending for over a decade, but like,
Right.
how did you end up involved with the brand? What attracted you to this particular brand, and like, what keeps you kind of going? Because
Dude.
obviously, you're building something
That's
from scratch
self-explanatory,
that
though.
you own, but you don't own the whole thing.
Look at the outfit. Look at that. Like,
He's just vibed with it, Felipe.
So because I'm a partner with him. What got me really into it, well, aside from the fact that I work around alcohol all the time,
What's this?
is a
Oh.
fist bump. Fist bump. Fist
Why would
bump.
fist bump?
Here we go. You know what? Just do it. Put it in there.
What's this?
Hey guys.
Are you gonna punch?
With our powers combined, this is great.
That's the
Guys,
Captain Planet
Felipe-
joke.
Yes.
Guys dying over here.
I remember.
Felipe brings a certain level of intellect that we would not have at this table without him. So
like it.
I got respect.
We all have different backgrounds and competencies.
Absolutely.
I respect them all.
So I got really into it because I was watching the brand blow up on social media. So James and I, even though we don't live near each other anymore, as of last year, we started talking on the phone, at least a handful of times a week. And he was posting more and more stuff. He was at distilleries down in Mexico. I'm seeing these parties that they're throwing.
You're a bartender, so you know about this stuff too.
And I'm watching it on social media, and I'm talking to him on the phone. I'm like, dude, this is fucking blowing up. This is awesome. And he was like, dude, you have no idea. He's like, it's like, this is really working. I was like, wow. And so the more and more we talked, they're going to expand into Florida. I was like, dude, can I help you out with this? And he was like, yeah, I think that'd be a really good idea. That's how it happened. I just kept watching the brand expand and grow on social media, and him and I kept talking more and more, and we grew up together. So a lot of it's just catching up, seeing how each other are doing, and how's your life going, and blah, blah, blah. But then a lot of it became conversations about Misguided. And then once it was time to get the licensing to expand into Florida, he was like, you wanna be the dude? And I'm like, I want to be the dude.
And to be honest with you, when we saw each other at Food and Beer for the SpeaX party, I'm like, we talked about Misguided Spirits, whatever. And I'm like, oh, it's cool, cool logo, cool stuff, whatever. And we talked about being on the podcast. I don't know, these guys may not like admit it, but there's a lot of people that I talk to about, yeah, we'll get you on the podcast soon. It's like, we're not going to call that guy.
Well, and
it could have been that.
Okay,
like
so-
it could have been that, right? I'm not saying it would have been.
I almost wonder,
We
'cause
would love
we
to have on the
talked.
podcast, but Misguided Spirits, like, I don't know this company. I don't know. So I leave.
I didn't think you guys were gonna respond to me, actually.
I leave. We text.
I didn't know.
Well,
Well,
we
you're
text-
everywhere. It's hard not to.
No,
Hey,
yeah,
I gotta
we
see you
text. I'm
again.
like, I'm gonna see you again.
I'd never tell people that we're going to have you on the podcast if we're not going to have
Well,
them.
you're better than me.
No,
Felipe,
but here's
you
what I
know?
tell them. I'll tell you exactly what I tell them. I'll tell
He's
them
proper.
We're experimenting with some different concepts outside of what we normally
give
do.
away your secrets.
You
You're giving away
cannot
the
say
secret
that
sauce
anymore.
right now. Now you can't say that shit anymore. We're
Somebody
gonna say
comes-
this. Come
No,
on.
this is your bullshit excuse.
I hope they see it. It's not. It's
Don't
not
worry, he'll
BS.
come up with a new one in like
At least
5
they'll
minutes.
never read through mine.
I
right?
literally
Right.
say when they go, "Hey, you got to get me on the podcast." Oh yeah, for sure.
That's exactly what I say. That's what I said.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
So if I ever hear you saying "yeah for sure" across the bar, I'd be like, "Well, that
no problem. Whatever you
He
want.
basically just told that person to fuck
Morgan, you
off.
want to get
That's
married?
great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Hey, you got the next round? Yeah, for sure. All right, that guy's not buying drinks for anybody.
But to end that short story that was made long by all the comments, I look up Misguided Spirits because I had no idea what it was really, and I'd seen it at the bar.
Right.
Look it up, and I'm like, oh, this brand is cool as shit. And they look up the social media, and I'm like, oh, they're partying. They're not for the people, by the people. Just as on the label,
No.
literally are having industry parties
Walk
and
the
doing
walk,
it.
baby.
It was cool.
Real grassroots stuff.
yeah, man.
I'll give you full credit for that, Brad. I didn't look it up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you did.
At least you're honest. I like it.
care about this podcast,
At least someone gives a shit around here. But yeah, it was when you and I talked. I know it's like you're at a bar. It's a crowded bar. You guys had a lot of people at that party. And
Shout out Food and Beer for being great hosts
Always,
too.
always.
Again.
Nuts. We probably had, if we had 10, we had 100. I mean, there were 100 people.
What's
that
that
place was
mean?
packed.
Does that
It was
mean we had
packed.
100?
I didn't even know you guys were doing
It's an
that.
old saying. It's an old saying, Brad. It means we had 100 people.
Oh, okay.
So, I want to see 5 more fist bumps before the end of this podcast.
Fist
So-
bump.
You just fart?
I was cracking my back.
Yeah, all right.
Oh my
So-
For sure.
So when you and I had that conversation, it's a crowded bar, music playing, you guys are having your party, and I know that we exchanged numbers that night, and we were both, a little buzzed. And
lot of buzzed.
I messaged you the next day, and you literally had an email in my work email like the next day. Somebody be like, "Hey,
Shout out Eric.
Yeah, hey, we're gonna set this up, and here's how we do it." Gave me like super professional. Sent me like this whole list. I was like, "Oh no, shit!" He really followed through because I was in my mind. I was like, "That might have just been a drunk." You know how that goes.
No, it was
a drunk conversation
it
or whatever.
was, but then I did the research
That's
quickly,
cool. So-
and I saw
so-
quickly like this is really a cool brand.
So once you
and a
looked-
bigger brand than just like whatever it might be. Like I
Right.
didn't know. I had no clue. It was
That's
just
cool,
like he's
though.
cool. He'd be great to have on the podcast.
That's awesome.
But the funny thing is that's how Mike and Casey came about, right? We bugged the shit out of Mike.
Yeah.
That's how Food and Beer, I should say, came about. But
Yeah.
we bugged the shit out of Mike to come on the podcast. He's like, "Oh, I'm just not a big podcast guy," I'm like,
And by
nobody.
the way,
nobody we get on.
I hang
is.
out with Mike like every other day. Like I love him to death. He's
great.
He did. I even texted him. I was like, "Dude, you're great." Like in
he is.
in the podcast. Like he was like funny and cares about. Like not that he isn't in real life, but sometimes stuff like this happens and.
His
You play him
personality
up.
translated well to the camera.
That's
sometimes
the
people
best
just
way to
Well
put it.
said. Well said, Trey.
Yes. Yep. And I was he's like, "Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that." I was like, "You fucking killed it."
Yeah, I agree.
It was cool.
But that's the same thing. It's like he came on the podcast, he left, and he was like, "Man, I love how professional everything was, and I love how much work you've done to make it more than just a podcast in your grandmother's basement." Same thing with Misguided Spirits.
Yeah.
Is my feeling. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not. It might have started grassroots, small, local, but you guys have a real brand that can
We're
go
basically
national.
the Misguided Spirits of podcasts.
I love it.
Where some of these other podcasts are more like Skull.
Yeah.
See all the Skull podcasts around Sarasota.
and we're
It
not
took a minute for him to warm up, and now he's fucking.
But we're
hitting
also
it.
not Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
right? We're the premium well.
Yeah.
Like, we know where we fit in. Like, it's just, it's fine. We're
So
the
what would
premium
Joe Rogan
well.
be as a?
He would be
if
a premium.
What would he be as a? Would he be Casa Azul?
He would be.
Would he be?
No, he
I
would
think
be.
he's the Tito's.
He'd be Angels
Everybody
Like-
No.
has them.
No.
Wow.
Oh,
Everybody
wow.
has them.
You hear that, Joe
No,
Rogan?
Joe would
Felipe's
be-
coming after you.
Joe would be. What's the Louis
Oh,
Brad's drunk.
Louis Trey.
Louis the
Yeah,
13th.
yeah.
Louis the 13th or whatever. He would be
Oh,
that.
that
Which
one, okay.
tastes like shit, by the way. I've had it several times. I never loved it. But.
Yeah, they just put it in a really expensive box.
And really nice bottle. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then with the Clase, you pay for the bell. But Clase
And
is
you pay
really
for the bell.
fucking-
Yeah, you ding the
so
king.
good.
You know
Yeah,
they
of
put
course.
dye in that tequila.
doesn't surprise
It's an
me.
embarrassment.
It doesn't surprise me.
This guy's coming out swinging on Casa Azul.
We're a hyper local boutique podcast.
That's right. So
Is that what you're rebranding as? A hyper local boutique. All right.
I'm about to make up a story.
You can tell
Backstory for
Trey
Felipe.
listens when I tell people about the podcast.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Well, as a Sarasota guy,
Yeah.
Sarasota-based company. Well, not Sarasota-based, but company born out of Sarasota.
Native son. Native son. Of
Would love
Yeah.
to talk some Sarasota-based questions, right?
Okay.
I will let Trey lead with that.
I'm gonna need some tequila for this.
Yeah, you are.
So Dominator Law wants to
an ice
know.
cup?
Yeah, I'd love an ice cup. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
You all right? You want a little more? Let's share some ice.
Oh!
Hey-o. It's all right. It's just
Got
ice.
ice for everyone around here.
I love it. There we go. See, teamwork, baby. Everyone gets a little bit of ice. Everyone gets a little tequila. All right, so we're gonna do some Sarasota questions. Is that right? I love that. That's pretty good.
Dominator Law wants to know.
We're gonna cash this. We're gonna cash this bottle out today. I love it.
I paused just long enough.
This coaster is so nice. I almost don't want to put anything on it. I mean,
Hey,
Well,
this
that's the
is
thing is
so
you
is
can-
our table.
you
so
can't
put
even
it
feel
on
the weight of
coaster.
this.
Yeah,
I
so
like
you-
Sarasota
well, that-
SpeaX coaster.
at that.
I'm just saying,
Where are the Sarasota SpeaX coasters?
make one.
No,
This
we got to
one.
make them.
This one's yours.
They're not going to be the ones that
Coming
make them.
soon as the we're doing because we collab with Food and Beer. We're doing one side is going to be Misguided, the other side's Food and Beer. So
There you go.
There you go.
Make one Sarasota SpeaX.
There you Well, since
we can do that.
since we're
If
partners
you guys,
with
if you guys
Food
bring
and Beer,
if you guys bring me back on, we can make coasters. We can start a coaster business.
what are you doing tomorrow?
Making coasters with you. We're canceling the boat day. All right, we're making coasters.
Trey's
Going
got
on
a
a yacht.
Trey's got a
She's like,
Morgan's excited about going on a yacht.
guys, I'm not
Jeez.
making coasters. I'm going on a yacht.
That's funny. Okay.
Thomas J. Chericello and Dominator Law want to know, what are your thoughts on roundabouts? Do you love them or do you hate them?
I love them. If people knew how to fucking use them, that'd be great.
That's
yeah.
the
Do
answer.
you ever get scared? You drive a motorcycle?
I drive. I have an SUV and I have a motorcycle. No, I know how to operate utilizing a roundabout, and I think they're used to not lessen condensed traffic. And if everyone just learned how to use them, they're fantastic.
Trick is stay moving. Right?
Stay moving, yeah, but they treat them like a four-way stop, so it's real
Correct.
frustrating.
We like to educate people on the podcast or on the viewers on how to use them, so we can help eliminate this problem. And I will say
Look at them
that,
go. See, these people get it.
Well,
Look at them go. Look, even the
So
bus.
there's more traffic, right?
Even the Sky Breeze, whatever it is,
the breeze.
trolley.
What do you think about the breeze?
I think the Breeze is cool.
You ever rid it?
I have not, but I've watched other people
I think
do
we're
it.
going to start. I think we just hang a green screen here instead of the real screen because it's so distracting for our guests and our hosts that just get locked into the circle.
This
Something
is
about the
kind of
circle.
mesmerizing. I could
so
actually watch.
mesmerizing. It really is.
I could
It's
watch
surreal.
video of just people using roundabouts for hours.
It's-
I could lose a day.
I need one of these
Really,
in my
look at
apartment.
there's another one. It
This
just
is
goes
amazing.
on and on.
It's great.
So I agree with that statement, and it's funny is the last like 3 people that have come on have said the exact same thing.
Learn how to use them.
And
the Brits have been doing it for years.
But I feel like they're everywhere. Like I feel like this isn't a localized problem anymore. I feel like they're coming up
personal
all over
problem.
the place. Like where Felipe's from, they had roundabouts, right, Felipe? Up north?
Queens does not have any
Not
roundabouts.
Queens, outside of Queens, you know?
Like Boston has roundabouts.
Yeah, see,
there's
close,
roundabouts.
right?
Kind of.
So
There's
they're-
roundabouts in New England.
They're coming around,
Yeah.
and they're going to learn how to use them up at home, and then they're going to come down here and they're going to use
the
them
real
right here.
answer, guys. We're gonna be real. It's because we have a lot of senior community.
Q-tips.
Okay, now you can edit this out because
We're not-
I
we don't have
want
anything
our
out.
elderly community to be
Our-
drinking
our
Misguided as well
viewership
and
is
listening to the
like
podcast.
90%
But
60
9
and above,
times out of
so.
10, it's Margaret with she's old and then she's in a Buick. And she gets to that roundabout and has a
Starts
fucking
pumping
panic
those
attack.
fucking
Oh,
brakes.
she's pumping. She's pumping. And she's not really. That's all she's gonna do. And you know what she's gonna do? Cause a wreck. And it happens all the time.
Even beyond the age, though, it's really just about people who are unfamiliar with their surroundings, right?
That too.
Or don't have
That
like
too,
the fast
for sure.
reaction times. So
Yes.
one of the reasons we ask about roundabouts, and I always like to bring this, not always, but sometimes I bring it up when it suits me, right? Is we're not just asking about the traffic circle, we're asking how people feel about growth in Sarasota. I mean, and change.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
The roundabouts are kind of like synonymous with the rise of Sarasota, the
Big time.
population, the changes. I mean, you got to think, 7 years ago, we didn't have any hotels downtown.
Yeah,
Or
man.
barely, maybe just the Hyatt and the Ritz.
And Felipe, the crazy thing about that is,
Yeah.
So
and the hotels outside of down, like just
Right,
on
now
the
we
outside.
have,
everywhere.
I mean, look at what we have now.
I moved, so I've been a musician since I was a kid, and I ended up traveling after I graduated from USF, and I lived up north in Iowa City when I wasn't on tour for the better part of 6 years, but I would periodically come back to visit for, Christmas, holidays, whatnot. And I kept every year or two when I would come back, I would come downtown to my local spots. I mean, I used to go to
crazy.
Smoke and Joe's when it was Smoke and Joe's and they only had beer. They didn't have a liquor license. So I'm coming back home over these 6 years and I'm seeing Artivation Hotel and I'm seeing the Westin. I'm coming back for Christmas. I'm like, when the fuck did that was a Waffle House and now it's the Westin. So this stuff was happening when I actually wasn't living here. And so it was blowing my mind every time I came back. I moved back officially 3 years ago, but it's been wild to see it grow when you're not here for a year at a time and then you come back for a week and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa,
They built fast down here, too.
quick.
I mean, it's like you turn away and then you look back and you've got a hotel or a
I remember
high
growing up,
rise.
my dad would say the same thing. He was always talking like that.
Yeah. Well, because it does, man. It feels like the blink of an eye. You're making fun of his being on.
Not him.
Sorry, I had to catch up for a second.
I
Not
didn't
just
even
him.
catch that.
Not just
I didn't
him. I
catch
feel
that.
like we all sound
Yeah, my
old right now.
dad said
I
that.
remember when this town there was a gas
My
station,
old dad
one
used to say-
stoplight in my high school, which wasn't just my high school, it was my middle school and my elementary school, and I had the same teacher the whole entire
And we
time.
had to walk uphill in
Yeah.
the snow
No,
both
it's-
ways. Dad, this is Florida.
There's so much of that. I used to go.
I feel like you're lying.
My dad still references Blockbuster as a pin mark for directions.
We got to bring Block.
We go
The old
down where the old Blockbuster used to be and make a right.
Lockwood Ridge and 62.
AutoZone, Dad.
yeah,
We
yeah,
all know right where it is, though.
Oh, it's the
We know exactly
it's the
where it
corner
is.
with the Blockbuster on it. It's like, dude, you can't keep referencing Blockbuster to give
that
people
was like
directions.
the last blockbuster in
Am
the
I-
country.
am I
They
correct?
held on for dear
Am I
life.
correct though in saying it's now AutoZone? Did I
I
nail
think
that?
you're right, actually.
I'm pretty fucking
17th
positive.
and Lockwood?
Or Amscott.
17 in Lockwood was
I'm
my
talking about the one
Blockbuster
on
as
B
well.
Ridge. Oh, we had different blockbusters. I was talking about the one on B Ridge.
Everyone
B Ridge.
had their Blockbuster, man.
Yeah.
God, we had it all, didn't we?
Simpler
What the hell
times.
happened? Simplest times.
I want to get to Felipe's question.
Sure.
Last thing that I do want to ask though is we talked the entire podcast and it just popped up in my mind. We talked the entire podcast about direct to bar, right? Business to business.
Mm-hmm.
Does Misguided Spirits sell direct to consumer? Is it an option?
You can do it on the website.
Okay.
You can do it on the website, and then there's some
For those under 21,
yeah, for
no
those
identity
over,
verification. They just
yeah. Well, I mean, you
Check the
got
box.
yeah.
are you over 21? Yes.
All right.
How do they get it shipped?
No, yeah, they can get it shipped through. There's different ways to verify age.
Very misguided.
Yeah.
I just-
We're just serving it to underage people. No, like there's different ways to
You're
verify.
not allowed to say that stuff, so we could edit it out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
No,
just
God.
feel like we would do the viewership a disservice by not saying how they could get their own Misguided Spirits if they want.
So what you can do is if you're in Sarasota and you're watching this, you can go over to Rose and Ivy in downtown Sarasota. You can go to any of the food and beer locations between Orlando and Venice. You can go to Veronica Fish and Oyster, which is a fantastic
freaking
upscale
phenomenal.
restaurant. You can go to Rosemary and Thyme, which is a great restaurant. You can go to Office Bar, which is a cool industry bar. The list goes on.
Keep it going, dude.
We're at a lot of spots. If you want to get it online, you can just Google it, Misguided Spirits, and there are some liquor companies and like through links from our website, you can actually get some of our stuff shipped to you if you verify your age.
Love it. How would you get that box?
That box you would get at
Exclusive for Sarasota SpeaX?
It's I'm gonna get you guys one for sure. But if you go up to liquor stores up north, see here's a big thing.
We'll take that one with all the empty bottles. It's fine.
No one gets any actual juice, just empty bottles.
Well, it'd be kind of heavy if they were all full, right? And you got to tote that thing around.
Yeah, it wouldn't be super fun. This is like displayed and sold up north at a lot of like the Total Wines and stuff. Down here, getting into Total Wine, ABC, the big chains like that. That's also part of my job, which I'm working on by the end of the year. Yeah. It just takes a little bit of time. So right now, the focus is bar and restaurants, but these things will be in liquor stores, hopefully by the end of the year. But for people like you, for people that I collaborate with, whatever, I'm obviously going to bring you guys one, and you can put it over there, and anytime you want to grab a bottle of Misguided, you guys can, while you're doing your podcast or whatever, you'll have it at your...
I love it.
Have it accessible.
All right, Felipe.
So we
Finish us off.
always like to end the podcast on the same question. It's an
Okay.
important question. You see what we do here. You've been on Sarasota SpeaX at this point. Who does Sarasota need to know that you know? Who do you think would be a good fit for what we do here?
I think, you guys have already collaborated with Food and Beer, so we can say Mike.
We continue to.
I continue. I know.
He's going to be asking you the questions,
exhausting,
by the
isn't
way.
it?
When
Yeah.
you do the rapid fire, just so you know,
Okay.
it's going to be him
It's
asking
Mike.
you questions.
Okay.
Mike and Casey.
It's
Yeah.
us, but in the final edit, you're going to have to watch it
Right.
because it's going to be their characterized questions that are just absolute home run. I mean,
look, I did my research too.
They killed it.
I've seen the rapid fire. I've watched.
they freaking killed.
I see
They
what you guys
killed
do.
that. They killed that. To be fair, it was all Edub's idea. Back to credit to Edub.
Great idea.
But they killed it on the actual acting. They have
Yeah.
a future in.
They know.
I don't think it was really acting. I think that's just how they.
Yeah,
That's true.
I think they were just being real.
That's true. They can play themselves.
They were just
really
bros
well.
being bros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would my other answer to that, and I've got to say it because it's one of my best friends, but also just a super inspirational person is Nick Perdue, who runs Rose and Ivy, and he was our GM for Artivation Rooftop for a couple years when I was bartending up there. Him and I actually managed a couple of the food, or one of the food and beers together. He was the GM, and I worked under him. So we ran Mike and Casey's Gulfgate location for a year together. Now that he's at Rose and Ivy, and then now he's at the St. Regis, I believe. He's doing the Ritz-Carlton. He's one of their board of directors or something. He would be a great guest for you guys.
I love it.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
That new St. Regis out on Longboat Key is one of the biggest things that happen, in terms of the food and beverage industry in this town.
Yeah.
Probably, I would say, in the last 5 to 10 years.
Oh, that's going to be
Yep,
awesome.
and he just got put onto that. So he's doing Rose and Ivy and that.
Very cool.
And
And Rose and Ivy's his, or he's GM, or what is it?
No, he is. he's a small percentage owner, and then he is like director of. He has a GM under him. He's like director of operations, I think. But so he's doing Rose and Ivy and St. Regis now.
Wow.
Highly motivated guy, and him and I grew up in Sarasota together. He would have a lot to say.
Would love to have him on.
You know, I give him a lot of credit because he's also doing that in a location that's traditionally been very hard to work.
Sure.
Right. And you know, anybody who's been in Sarasota long enough can see like certain locations are just tougher.
Yeah.
And that for whatever reason that one has been, and he's doing a bang up job.
Yep. Yeah. Making it happen, man.
Well, dude, thanks for coming on. Thank
All
you so
right.
much. Shout out Misguided Spirits.
Pound Felipe. Okay, good job.
You guys still have to get one more fist bump in. I think you only had like 3. Okay, 4. Okay, perfect. One more. Perfect.
said
Now we did it.
Is there a betting line on the number of fist bumps?
What do I do with my hands?
What's the over under on fist bumps for this episode? Perfect.